All right, we're flowing, and I can't get rid of this fucking notification up here,
Oh God,
which I
this is where.
realize is not bothering anybody but me, but it's really annoying. There, it's gone.
All right, we're flowing. It's gone.
I guess I should celebrate that small win. I just figured out a solution to an annoying problem.
There you did.
See what I
I
did
love
there?
it. I see what you did. I see what you're setting
So-
us up for.
Yeah, but first, accountability check.
Yes.
Journaling. Did we do it?
This is my confession. I did not do it.
I sent
will
you
say what I did.
two texts on two separate days, and I was like, you know
Yes.
what? I'm not going to be a nag. She'll do it if she wants to do it.
I have a million reasons. I'm not going to give any excuses, but this is what I'm going to say. The action I did take was printing out my journal prompts yesterday with the intention to start it last night. I reprioritized something else. And this morning, I really thought about this because I was going to give my
confession time.
accountability. I am committed to it. And I do want to do it. And I am going to do it. Now, I despise negative reinforcement. However, this morning I realized I might need a little pain to take my extra few minutes and do this no matter what's happening in my world, because it's been a lot of craziness. So I am recommitting. I will journal for this week. If you want to join me, great. If not, and if I do not do it, I am going to donate $50 to whatever charity you want me to donate money to. If I don't,
I'm gonna one up you there.
Okay.
You have to do 20 push-ups on camera next time we record, so everybody gets to see.
Fine.
All right.
Well, I'm an athlete, so that
30
just goes.
push-ups.
What?
30 push-ups. How about that?
Well, I mean, how much time do we have?
Yeah, you're right. I didn't say all at once.
I'm gonna do it, but I if I don't do it, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'll put my biceps where my mouth is.
No, look, I mean, let's be real. You've had a lot going on. You were traveling, and you know, for anybody that's not around New Jersey, Newark has been absolute shit show. So I know so many people have been delayed and spent, you know, whole days at the airport. So there are genuine reasons why, and sometimes maybe that's a good lesson for our listeners of, like, sometimes you have to realize maybe this isn't the right moment to commit to it. I mean, we kind of just did it spontaneously on the show, and maybe if you'd actually gone, actually, what do I have coming up this week? Maybe now's not a good time to commit to that. Because, and it's interesting, I was listening to Dean Grazzi, who's Tony Robbins' right-hand man.
Yeah.
I actually kind of prefer listening to him than Tony.
Yeah.
I think just the way he speaks kind of resonates a bit more with me. He's a bit more gentle. Not that Tony's not, but he was saying to Gary Brecker, whose show he was on, who I also love, he's saying, like, this idea of, like, not breaking promises to yourself. And, you know, obviously we just kind of said this on air, but, like, making promises to yourself and then breaking them, and it almost becomes a habit.
Sure.
And not to use that as an example, but that kind of really resonated with me. If, like, you tell yourself you're going to get up at 5:30 and go for a walk, and then you don't do it, and then it just becomes a habit of lying to yourself and breaking your own promises. And again, not to say that was an example of it, but
it's a great example of it, because that is the truth. Now, I have done enough work to know that I typically don't break promises to myself. So I have full trust in myself. And like I said, I could have had a million excuses. I sat down to journal in my hotel room after, 7 hours for 7 hours to get from Newark to Pittsburgh. And I could have driven. Trust me, I was looking at rental cars on the way back, but it pops up on my phone. United canceled my flight to fly out the next night. So I switched. So I reprioritized and spent 2 hours trying to rebook myself and get myself out of United because I didn't want to fly into Newark, blah, 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 blah. And here's the lesson in this. life is always going to be happening. And I'm going to
Yeah.
go to Amy Zimmerman with the Amy Z Home team in Kentucky, who was on our podcast, with all of the things that she had going on, serious family things, her team expanding, not even to talk about the transactional part of her real estate business. The thing that pulled her through this successfully was her journaling.
Yeah.
And again, I'm the coach that put that in front of her. I'm the one who coached her through that. So no excuse was good enough. And I actually believe if I had been journaling over the past few days, it would have actually been a benefit for some mental clarity. So
Yeah.
I'm not letting myself off the hook around, oh, well, I had all these things, because that you can do that all the time. So I'm just owning it. I didn't
Yeah.
do it. I have full intention to do it. I'm recommitted to it. And I don't know, I'm trying out this little kind of pain thing, even though, to be honest, donating $50 to a charity
Kind of a
that you
win
believe
anyway.
in
Yeah.
is not, so they
Yeah.
tell you to like
Well,
donate
actually, no,
it to
maybe we'll
something,
we'll make it like a $50 donation to like
the meat
uh
industry.
yeah, meat. Yeah, exactly. Not that I mean, well, I don't know why there would be a charity for animal cruelty, but
It's called the USDA, and I'm
yeah, exactly. Well, that's changing. They got a good person in there now,
yes.
so that could be changing. But
So
and
so
it's
how about for you? I want to hear, what were your wins? What were your challenges with journaling?
I mean, we talked off air about some of the challenges. I'm not really in a position to talk about it on air.
Mhm.
But I was saying before, I feel really clear right now. Just I know exactly what my calling is. I know exactly what I need to do to get there. I've
Mhm.
kind of had the last kind of month. I've had this kind of, well, actually 2 or 3 months, for the reasons I can't talk about. But I've kind of felt this pressure to get ahead of the pace.
Mhm.
But realistically, I need to finish what I'm doing because there's,
Mhm.
in order to really have the impact I want, I have to finish getting this license I'm getting, which we will talk about on future episodes. But
Mhm.
um, I've kind of, all right, just God's hands on my shoulders right now. He's just letting guide you, and just it feels good. I feel that pressure's been lifted. I'm ready for making the transition. That sounds. I really hope the Opus clip doesn't clip that up. I'm not transitioning. But I'm ready for the move I need to make.
Mhm.
And I'm just kind of getting all my ducks in a row for that. So it's great.
Mm.
So that's a huge win, honestly. And a small win, yeah. I got back to journaling. And there's this idea of habit stacking, right? That I talk about a lot with clients. Of you build brick by brick, one habit at a time, and the mistake a lot of people make is they try and do everything at once, and that's just not possible. My morning routine, I added meditating in a couple of years ago now. That's been a mainstay. And then you had to reduce the amount of time I was meditating because I wanted to add journaling in. And then I got out the habit of that. And then I think I've talked about on here, I've signed up for this Bible in 365. So every day you get emailed, some passages from the Old Testament, New Testament, you read through it. It's like 15 minutes. So then I was like, all right, now I have to add journaling back in.
Mhm.
And that it could be easy to do it a couple times, and because hasn't been part of my routine for the past, what are we in May, 5 months, it could have been easy not to do, but now that's kind of stacked on top, and hey, maybe I'll add another one at some point, but one thing at a time, one thing at a time.
So, yes. My audio went a little funky, so sorry if I cut you off. Um,
No, I think we both paused there.
oh,
It's all
cool.
good.
Um, I think journaling is a form of meditation.
In some ways, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and so specifically to the journaling that you did over the past week, what's one or two small big wins from it? And what's something that came up as an awareness, or did you hit a challenge with any of
Well,
it?
I don't know if it's from the journaling so much, but it definitely amplified this sense of gratitude I have at the moment. I just like, even when I'm outside, I'm looking at like this morning, the blue sky was just beautiful. I'm just sat there, every morning I go out now. Actually, that's another habit. I go out and ground, which I'd gotten out the habit of because of the bad weather during the winter. And I just sit there with a coffee, feet on the ground, looking at. I'm just like, there's this sense of just like why do we get so stressed about shit? Like, life is really simple.
Yeah.
You know, I appreciate all of these things so much more now. And that's one thing that, definitely, the first three things I do in my journal is three things I'm grateful for. And sometimes it's hard to be creative because, like, you realize all you really care about is the health of your family. Like,
Mm.
and the love that you get from them. If I and you kind of realize, sets your day up nicely. You're like, if I have these two things, what else really matters? You know?
I think that's a great point because it is simple. And I think for anyone listening, especially when you're talking about what we're going to talk about today, which we've already started talking about, which is wins and celebrating. With gratitude, sometimes people feel like they have to be these big over the top things. You know, when you're grateful, you're big. It's this big kind of generalized statement. Of course, we're grateful for our children and families, our families' health and love and care. But when you're doing journaling and you're practicing gratitude every day, you have to start digging deeper into those little levels, those little nuances that make
Yeah.
life so beautiful. So it could be something as simple as being grateful for your toenails. Sorry, that's the only thing that's like coming to me. But
What a weird thing to be grateful
I
for.
know it's weird. Listen, I'm weird. My job is to keep it weird. I'm using an extreme example because people get really lost. They're really good at rattling off like five things they're grateful for, and they're kind of the same five things that they cycle
Yeah.
through. But I really want to challenge our listeners and you and I to go past that, right? That's what I feel good coaches do. They make it weird, right? When
Yeah.
people typically stop asking questions, really good coaches go one, two, or three questions deeper
Yeah.
because it forces you to think past where you've normally been thinking. So something as silly as I'm grateful for my toenails, which I am grateful for my toenails. Um, and have fun with it. And the point is to get into the practice of minutia and details, which could be used in a negative way.
Yeah.
But I really want people to realize that yes, there's big gratitudes, there's big wins, but the things that fuel us through the day to day between those big gratitudes and between those big wins are the small wins.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't know how to recognize them, we certainly can't celebrate them. So
100%.
we need to train our brains, our subconscious, to start recognizing and bringing it to our conscious these small wins. And I
Yeah.
would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges for our clients is that I have them write down, their wins. And in the beginning, they have a really hard time. Like I don't know what is a win.
I remember.
Yeah.
I was one of those clients.
So go to the ridiculous, like,
Yeah.
dig down to the most ridiculous, minute detail that you can to be grateful for there to be a win for.
Yeah.
Um, and that's where it starts to get really fun. And again, that's the fuel. That's the fuel that keeps you going when you're working towards these things, when you're in transitions.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want to point out, and it's interesting when you start unraveling it, gratitude really is a win. Like when you're grateful for stuff, all those things when you have them, they become wins, right? But and I even use the language there when you have them. I wanted to make the point that sometimes you have to be grateful for who you are, right? Like, and then when you start, that's one of the things I always say I'm grateful for when I'm journaling is like I'm grateful for kind of the fact that I've deprogrammed myself from the matrix of society, and I'm able to think critically, and I'm able to see things in a different light and ask questions that other people don't ask, and be able to make decisions for me and my family based on things I can look into, because again I've kind of deprogrammed myself from just accepting that this is how things are,
Mhm.
and that's a huge win for me, and and the health of my family, and everything. So I'm always incredibly grateful for that. And like I said, it's not always about being grateful for what you have, it's about being grateful for who you are, and
Mm.
lessons you've learned, and things like that.
Ah, ooh, I love that. I've been grateful for the lessons, but I think that that point you bring up is one of the lessons, like being grateful for who you are really in that direct way.
Yeah, like
Um,
I'm grateful for the fact that I'm able to withhand
with
I'm not grateful for the
withstand,
fact I can't speak English right now.
withstand.
Withstand um a lot of stress.
Mhm.
Like I'm grateful for that because I couldn't operate at the level I operate at if with a lot of the circumstances in my life
Right.
otherwise. And that's something I'm really grateful for. And again, that's who I am, who I've become.
Stress is not a bad thing. It gets a bad rap. Stress unmanaged is where we go into a bad place. But
Yeah.
we need stress. We need pressure. I mean, I can't I don't even want to say it, but I will, but pressure creates diamonds. We
Yeah.
throw that out there so easily and people kind of, yeah, yeah, yeah. But the stress, whether you're talking about working out, putting stress and strain on your muscles is how they get bigger. But that has to be incorporated with rest and recovery at the same
Right.
time.
Manage stress. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's managed stress. I mean, stress, great. It's great to be free. It's great to sit on a beach. Like I just went to a beach with a Corona next to me and, my toes and my toenails in the sand. Those are beautiful to have some days like that. Your biggest
Oh
stress,
yeah.
your biggest
It's
worry is,
fine.
when and where and what are you going to eat? Um, but in the day to day, the stressors are what help us grow. And stress needs to be embraced a little bit more.
Which is funny because I want to do an episode on why stress is killing everybody, but that's unmanaged stress.
Unmanaged
So
stress.
I agree with your point, like, and it's the ability to withstand stress
Hmm.
that is really the key, and it takes work. You've got to build yourself up to it.
Well, look at
Um,
bridges. Like we didn't plan on going here, but look at bridges. Bridges withstand a ton of stress every day, all day. But
yeah.
if you know anything about the majority of bridges, they are not rigid. It's not that they don't move. If you've ever been stuck in traffic on a bridge,
Oh yeah.
I'm
A lot
thinking
scary.
of the Tappan Zee, aka Governor Cuomo Bridge. That I mean, in the middle, if you're stuck on it and the winds are high enough, you are feeling a good sway. It's a crazy feeling. But that is that bridge's ability to take all of those people and all of those cars from
Oh,
where they
yeah.
are to where they want to go. And if it wasn't flexible, it would break.
Yeah.
So you need to have a mindset, a mental set, and a body that when stress is applied to get from point A to point B to achieve a goal, that you are able to flex and bend and not break.
Yeah, for sure. So let's kind of dive back into the wins,
Yeah.
and you kind of mentioned it there. It really is difficult to get your head around in a lot of respects. Like we all focus on the bad things that happen, and even when you're trying to learn and self development, it's a lot easier to focus on the mistakes you made and then learn from them. We talk about that a lot,
Mhm.
but you can actually learn from the wins you make too. And you don't realize. I saw this a lot in the fitness space, particularly like success isn't linear. There's going to be ups and downs, but there's the trend.
Mhm.
And when you celebrate the win, you're getting that positive reinforcement. You're getting we can talk about neuroscience. You're getting the dopamine, and you're more likely to succeed again because you get the rewards for it. But if I just say, hey, I want to make $1 million by the end of the year, and the end of the year comes and it hasn't happened, I'm going to be upset. But then if I'd celebrated, hey, maybe I made my first 1,000, then I made my first 10,000, first 100,000, and then hey, right now the gap to getting to 1 million is actually really decreased,
Yeah.
and then we'll get there. And I know we want to reference a gap in the game, so maybe this is a good
Great
segue.
book. Great book. Great book, and it's we'll go back to that, but it is those small wins that fuel you to the bigger wins. And life looks a heck of a lot different when you have trained your subconscious to be looking for those wins. Right? When our clients know that they have to weekly sit down with us and type in wins into a sheet and discuss them, your brain and your subconscious go, okay, let me start looking for those because I need to have this.
Mm.
And in the beginning, it's like, oh God, Tara's going to make me do this or Paolo's going to make me do this. And then what happens, it starts becoming so natural. My clients don't even have enough lines on their win
Oh, true.
column. And it's funny, they'll turn their challenges actually into wins automatically. So it's every day, if you are journaling, part of one of my prompts is, what were my wins for the day? And
Yeah.
they could be tiny, tiny, tiny. Um, Referencing back the gap and the gain and feeling like if you want to make $1 million and you've only made $1,000, there's a huge gap in that. And if you don't measure along the way and celebrate along the way, most likely you're not going to be at a million.
Yeah.
And that gap feels so huge. Instead of looking at, wow, well, I was at $100, then I got to 500, and then I got to 1,000, then I got to 5,000, then I got to, then I'm at 100,000. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, how much gain did I make? Instead of looking at the gap that's left, look at the amount of progress that you made. And that requires consistent checking in.
Oh, big time. And I really learned that lesson running the marathon
Mm,
because it was if I had applied the mentality of oh my god 2 miles sucks, how fuck am I going to run 26? I never would have gotten there.
no.
But instead, it was always all right. I'm that much closer, to the 26, which I'm never doing again.
And I'm
Um,
laughing because I'm, like, seeing your social posts and, like, part of that process, and I'm also laughing because there was a Fred mentality for the 5K where he showed up almost wearing Crocs, didn't train at all for it. He
yeah,
had no socks on. So, like, you think it's only 3.1 miles, and about a mile and a half in, he's like, dude, I'm not gonna make it, man." I think he had blisters everywhere, and I was
yeah.
like, "Sorry, buddy, but I'm leaving you behind because I ain't stopping."
But yeah, it really is a great mentality to have, and that was actually a kind of a life changing thing for me when
Mhm,
you had me start at the end of every day, just in bed in the note. I was just doing it in my notes app on my phone, like write down 3 wins from the day. And what you start to realize is it's a really good reality check of oh, I put this down that I was going to do today and I didn't get that done, but hey, look what happened over here that I managed to divert my attention to, and I got a win there. So
yeah,
it's a great reality check of like it's good to have a plan, but sometimes you need to reprioritize and you need to be flexible, as you were saying with the bridge,
mhm,
and you can still make positive situations out of a bad day.
yeah. And then you just ask yourself, is this the thing that you didn't do that you had committed to in the morning? You just ask yourself, is this something I'm still committed to? Is this something I
Yeah,
still wanna do? Or maybe something happened during the day where that became irrelevant. And if it became irrelevant, get rid of it. Done,
yeah,
gone. Don't think about it anymore. If you're like me with the journaling, no, I want to do this. I am committed to doing this. So I reprioritize it again. And
yeah,
listen, you might have to reprioritize multiple times in a day and multiple times in a week and in a month. And that's going to ebb and flow. But the point is checking in with yourself every day. And if you really want to do something powerful, share this practice with someone that you love and that loves you, whether it's your significant other. I mean, to me, I'd love to do this in bed with my partner every night. And what I love to think is, what did I see for that person that they did that was maybe a small win or big win, or
yeah,
how they helped me have a small win or a big win, and sharing with each other because there's so much value in someone else's perspective where you might think it was nothing,
yeah.
and
That's very
then the partner you that knows you, right? And it could be a best friend, it could be a lot of different people. What they see is something you might not recognize, and that's so powerful. So sharing with someone that knows you and cares about you and asking their perspective of what they witnessed or saw is really kind of a fun.
yeah. That's such a really good point, and I had this thought a little while back of just like I can't even remember what it was that caused it. I was just like, wow, I actually have a lot more people that care about me than I thought. Like
Mm,
really actually care about me.
mhm,
Um, it may have been after my music listening party. It may have been around then, but regardless, and they were celebrating, and it was because they were celebrating my wins. And to your point, like sometimes someone else's perspective, what didn't feel like a big deal to me was actually a big deal for actually it may have been the marathon actually.
Mhm.
All the people that were checking in on me and stuff. I think it was that. But yeah, it's like I mean, like even the fact like when you told me Ben was like asking how where is he, how's he doing? I was like,
He was the one who found you. He was watching you. He was giving me your play-by-play.
yeah, like that. I was like, wow, like
Yeah.
I haven't even met the guy yet, and
Yeah.
it's because he knows how how close we are, and like that means a lot to me, and that's a
Yeah.
win.
Yeah.
Whereas to
And
me,
he
I'm
knows
like,
what it's
I
like
hate
to
this
run
right
a
now.
marathon, right?
Yeah,
So
that's true. Yeah,
he knew what you were experiencing now in his own way, and it was a big deal to him too. Like, this is a big deal.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it can really help. I love the idea of doing that, and I think even one step further is doing it with your kids. It's
Yes.
something Amy's done. She'll ask the boys like, "What was your favorite part of the day?" Um, which as a kid, I remember I hated having those conversations, especially when you had to tell mum and dad because they weren't at home at the same time.
Yes.
You know, but I think that's a great thing to do with your kids. Like, like, give me something you did really well today, because you only ever hear about so and so was a dick or whatever at
Right.
school. You know,
Don't give up as a parent, right? As any parent knows this. You ask, "How was school?" "Fine." "What
yeah,
happens?" "Nothing." "What'd you learn?" "Nothing."
that
Um,
part.
it takes children and some adults, you've
Yeah,
gotta ask the same question without asking the same question a couple of times and
yeah,
allow the silence to do the heavy lifting there. Once your children or that person realizes you're not gonna just let them walk away without answering, the first couple answers might be rubbish. Um, why I said rubbish, I have no idea. And
very British of you.
it is, you're rubbing off on me. And just learn to continue to ask the question, even if you have to ask it in a different way.
Yeah,
My favorite question when someone says, I don't know, is validating it, but saying, I know you don't know, but if you did know, what would it be? Right. And typically it
yeah,
gets a little bit of a giggle. Um, and the person realizes, like, okay, like she's not going to let me off the hook here.
yeah,
So get creative with your children and people that typically give a traditional answer because they know they're gonna just get out of it,
yeah.
and, go there because it's a big deal. Teaching our children this is huge, and, like, hearing what was important to them and what was a win for them, it can be really eye-opening as a parent.
Yeah, it's true. Like you figure out what's important to them,
Mhm.
and yeah. So how can we help people develop this skill and this practice?
Yeah.
Like what are some tips we can give people? Like what should because I'm thinking of the folks that and I don't know if we've got too many knowing some of the listeners that listen to this. I don't
Mhm.
think they're in fixed mindsets particularly,
Mhm.
but there are people who are just it's all the negative, it's all the bad stuff. How do we
Mhm.
help people retrain themselves to spot those wins at the end of their days, or even it's even better when it's actually happening. You're like, wow, that was a win. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I'm gonna keep it super simple. What you and I delved into last week, journaling. And you can journal in a
Yeah,
couple different ways. So keep it simple. If this is not a practice you're used to doing, like if you're not used to meditating, you're not going to sit down and meditate every day for 30 minutes. So start with a minute.
yeah,
So for this, I would say at the end of every day, whatever source tool you want to use, your notes app, a piece of paper, social media, I think is super powerful. Post every day on social media. Here's my one win for today. Because if you want to inspire people, but there's listeners that may not want to do that publicly. Um, so piece of paper by your bed, your phone, social media, verbally tell it to someone. Find whatever avenue you want to that you're gonna stick to for, let's say, at least 5 days.
yeah,
One win. One win at the end of the day. And if it has to be kind of a crutch win, like I made it through the day. Well, you know what? There's days where that's a win. That is truly the win.
yeah,
Um, before all of that, though, you have to decide that getting yourself in a daily mindset and teaching your subconscious to help you look for the wins is something that's valuable to you and important to you.
yeah. And speaking of social media, I think one. one thing I'd flip on its head there is if you do have a hard time thinking positively, I would get off social media
Mm,
because I forget what the statistic is, but it's an overwhelming majority of posts on there are negative.
sure.
You know, and it's interesting when you said like post every day your wins. I was like, you know what? I bet you if you were to do an A/B test of a positive post and a negative post every
Mhm,
day,
mhm.
you'd get more traction on the negative stuff.
Probably. But so here's the other side of that. Don't get off social media, post your positive, and let's fucking change
Well,
how
yeah,
social media looks.
I'm not saying don't post. I'm saying don't consume.
Yes.
You know, because
Yes.
you will. It's very, and I know a lot of people who just get in. They have this echo chamber of opinions they listen
Mm.
to, and it's just all negative, 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 and yeah, go try live your day without feeling negative now that you've experienced that for an hour.
Here's an eye opener. If your feed is filled with negative things, it is probably a reflection of what you are putting out there and you are consuming on other parts of
Very
the
true.
internet.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that it's there's not negative because I certainly have stuff, but I will tell you on my feed, my Instagram, my Facebook, it is mostly positive. It is mostly empowering. It is mostly quotes from people that I follow. 'Cause I don't follow people that put out negative crap.
Yeah.
And I unfollow and I block. I'm very specific about how I curate it. And it is a reflection. When I am going more intense on things, I see it reflecting in my social media feeds.
Yeah, you know, that's a really interesting point you made. And Gary Vee said this a while back. He was like, your algorithm isn't training you.
Mm,
Your algorithm is a reflection of who you are.
mm,
It's just giving you exactly as you said, it's serving up
yep,
what you want to see.
yep.
It doesn't have
It is.
emotion behind it. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, let's it's no, this person is looking at this a lot. Let's give them some more.
So, go take a peek. Do some
Yeah.
cleanup in there. Right? We talk about top grading, and I know it really rubs people the wrong way. Top grading the people that are getting your time, energy, and effort.
Yeah.
You have to go in and look, what is no longer serving me? What relationships here are not feeding me or fueling me in a positive
Yeah.
way?
Great point. And you know, actually I did just audit my Instagram. I
Mhm.
went through I realized from when I got back into real estate, I was, joined Real and I started following all these real agents, and of course they post nonstop. That's like the social media brokerage. And I had to unfollow. Unfollowed everything related to real estate outside of
Yeah.
I don't really, you've kind of transcended real estate now, but outside of
Mm.
you and Fred, I kept of course follow him because I celebrate his wins.
Yes.
Um, but outside of that, everyone's gone now because I realized how much of my feed was that, and it was kind of like it was kind of weighing me down from my past. Like
Yeah.
that's a period of my life that I don't want to revisit. I don't
It
want
pulls you
to
back.
get back.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I want things that are gonna pull me forward. Right? I want things that are
Yeah,
gonna inspire me. And it's nothing like today I reposted something that I posted 11 years ago, and it was a newspaper article cut out of my brother with his invention at the invention convention. It was called Goofy Garbage, and he was like trying to get people to not litter. And I reposted it. So like it's not that there's not value in the past and looking back at traditions and celebrating it and bringing it forward. But if you're constantly finding yourself being drawn back into a place that you've already moved on from, right? It
yeah,
doesn't mean that you grew to better from real estate. You moved on from real estate. Those
cool,
are still high level people on high level posts. It's just no longer really valid to you. And
cool.
yeah,
I enjoyed the content. Like yeah, I obviously enjoyed it because it was showing on my feed a lot. But it was just like I said, it was just like it was kind of pulling me backwards. So I was like, that's not where I want to be now.
yeah. Okay. So action step is write it down somewhere. Write 1 to 3 wins down every single day. If you don't want to write them, tell them to somebody verbally. The point is commit to something for the next 5 days and do it.
Yeah. Well,
Keep
so
it simple.
here's a good example, right? So before this, right before this, did drop off at school.
Mhm.
Um, Normally Braden's a pain in the ass getting out of the car. He often likes to take his shoes and socks off, so you've got to deal with spit, and that's really annoying when you're running late. You've got to redo those. Um, and that was really easy today. Got him in and out of the
Mm,
car real quick. to take his shoes and socks off, and I even said to myself, like, that's a win.
Yeah.
Like that was a good win at drop off today.
Yeah.
Just something as simple as that
Do you tell
can make
Brayden it was a win?
I did not. I did. I thanked him for keeping his shoes and socks on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, and why? Like, hey, that was such a win today. You kept your shoes and socks on because we were able to have, however it impacted his getting out of the car and sending him off into school. And
well, it was more about me.
yeah,
I
well,
wanted to be here for this on time.
also, when we get frustrated with there's something when our kids are doing something and we're putting a smile on our face and like, it's okay.
Yeah.
They can tell we're frustrated. They can tell we're a little stressed. Um,
Mm.
so that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is a win.
Well, yeah, and even when you think about your kids, when they are annoying the crap out of you, and it's their job. Like parents who say their kids aren't annoying really annoy me because that's a lie.
Oh my God, Alexander does not annoy me.
Oh,
He never like there does he push me sometimes? I don't know. I got to fight you on that. I only have one. I really feel if I had two or more, I would be
maybe.
different. And I am used to, getting more about and spending more time with Ben's kiddos and but there's a separation there because
Yeah.
I'm not their mom, but and there's a lot of dynamic happening. Don't annoy. I don't want to annoy you. Alexander doesn't annoy me.
Well, maybe he's outgrown the annoying stage. Who
He
knows?
never
But
did. Maybe he's
but
gonna get there. He's getting there, maybe.
but even when they're annoying you, you've got to find something great. Like when
Yeah,
Braden's, you know, doing something, and even if he like yells at me, I'm like, 3 years ago we can talk. Like,
yeah,
say what you want. I don't care. Curse at me. I don't care. You
yeah.
said a word. You know. So there's always there's always a win to find in bad situations.
Okay, I take it back. Alexander makes this noise I can't stand. It's like the
See?
villager from Minecraft. You're right. You're right. And it gets under my skin, and I'm like, dude, enough. Yeah, it's probably a little. It's fleeting, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I mean they should not net annoy you more than they give you joy.
Uh, It's all a gift. It's all a
Yeah.
gift, right? Because then you could think, even if your child's being the worst little demon child in the world, there's people out there that have lost their children
Yeah.
and would do anything to have their child back
Yeah.
acting crazy. Um, and that's the power of gratitude, and that's the power of recognizing the wins, big and small. And we know that life's going to continue happening, and this is a journey, right? It's again another old cliche. It's not about the goal, right? It's about the journey to the goal. It's about how you live purposefully by design or not purposely, and you live by default, and life just manhandles you the whole way through the trip. So we get to decide every single morning, every single moment, we get to decide what and how we are going to be present.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's a nice place to wrap it up, actually.
I love that too. So go forth, have fun, celebrate your wins, but first you have to recognize them. Bring your significant others in, bring in the people that you love and care about, bring in your teams at work, bring in your children, bring in your neighbor, who the heck knows. Just start doing and sharing. And until next time, friends, bye for now.